Hello and welcome back. We're up against another opponent here. Sorry about the last one that we lost. And by lost, I mean we lost the video. So the no rug you don't get to see. We are going to keep this hand. We have 3 swords. We have a Liliana. We have 2 lands. Um, it's a little risky. I'm going to go ahead and fetch out the basic plains here. Typically, I like to stick to forest first, but I mean, so be it. We may run into issues later trying to play Liliana, but this will at least keep the swords up, gets us out of the stifle range, and maybe completely irrelevant. We'll find out. Top first. Makes me think of 2 things. First one is old school muck, but they didn't really have a lot of shuffle effects, so eventually that got taken out, but it was a good thought at first. Non-basic here so that I can still keep options at Liliana open. Second thing it makes me think of is old school threshold. If you're not familiar, the new Rug Delver lists that everybody is talking about is basically Canadian Thresh adding Delver of Secrets. Originally replacing the Mongoose, but not anymore. Alright, so there's a Bob. It just looks like Black Thresh at this point. Huge disadvantage not knowing what your opponent is playing. Be smart. Always attack before you start playing spells. Reason being, maybe they'll block. You can assume in a lot of cases that your opponent's a little bit smarter than that, but I mean, what if? You could say, I could save the card in hand. I could play the Stoneforge Mystic. We just don't want him to have the Bob up. I could try and eat this, but he'd just tap it. There's no real point to trying to eating a top at all, ever. And that's just because they just go away. If you're eating it with a Croson Grip, yeah, you can kill it, but unless you're both in top deck war, what good is that? Why not save it for something useful? Hmm. Well, goodbye something. Probably Knight at this point. I mean, he knows that we need the black mana for Liliana. He knows that we need another land, so, I mean, I would probably take the Knight here. The Stoneforge, assuming that he's now playing a bug control list and put Bobs in to try and get card advantage. I'd take the Stoneforge or the Knight because you can deal with the Stoneforge. But we'll find out. I mean, we're 1 land away from being able to just start doing stuff, and we're 1 swamp away from being able to do anything. The only thing that we couldn't do is hard cast the Batterskull, but that's what the Stoneforge is for. I'm going to go ahead and pause it until their opponent makes their decision, though. Oh, never mind. Took a Swords. That's interesting. Of my hand, even with the redundancy, I look at that Swords as probably the weakest thing on there. But I guess really wanted to get this going. Yeah, it looks like Old Thresh. That's a little amusing. There's that. And there's our swamp. So starting next turn, we can kind of do whatever we want. Against Old Thresh, you definitely wanted chokes just because it meant that, well, those lists were running counterbalance, and with this, it makes me think he's not running counterbalance, which is still a little confusing off of what it could possibly be, but, I mean, so be it. Guess we have to worry about days. Bye-bye, you. And we're back to having just 2 lands. We're a little worse off now. We can't even cast Knight. But we top deck like a fiend and we draw Liliana. Let's see. We're either getting a smart remark, bad mouth to no end. Okay, probably bad mouth to no end. And in we go again. Mind you, he's gained 5 life at this point. Was it only 5? Yeah, it was 5. Goif was a 3/4. So we've actually done... Wow. Come on, I can think, I promise. 12 damage. There we go. Oh. We should be we should be okay at this point. We're short of forest. We have Liliana in play. He's got a top going. We're gonna have a mystic. Our opponent's playing on our opponent is trying to play catch up, which this could easily be a Jace and put the mystic back up or the Pride Mage back up, which means we now have just the mystic. Or they could brainstorm again. Yeah, figured. So now we have the mystic. Mystic is going to turn into Jit this game again. If you're wondering how often I go for Jit, it's actually pretty often. And we're going to start ramping Lily just to keep her active. I'm actually thinking I'm going to keep this diamond and get rid of the Pride Mage. Our opponent's down to 1 card in hand. Yes, they have a Jace, but we should have things to be able to kind of do to that. And next turn we get to equip or play the Jit, or do we get rid of the Knight? It's always a weird question. Like, I want to keep this just in case I draw Maze, but I guess if I draw Maze, that also stops any of his creatures, so yeah, we'll just do that. Ghastly Demise. That was the plan. The plan has gone awry. Don't know if you guys have ever heard the term, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry, but yeah, it's true. Well, you can't be planning on bouncing with Jace, can you? The only bad thing about Liliana is she's got a -2 to force them to Edict. If she had a -1, she'd be incredibly good. Start off with 2 Edicts built in. Like, it basically would force that you'd play her, Edict them. They'd be forced to attack in, so you get profitable blocks, and then you could Edict them again. That'd be great. Although I'm still wishing for my Planeswalker, which is black-green 2, +1 to rampant growth, +2 to, or -2 to Vindicate without the land ability, basically Pulse with no echo, and then -5 to Death Cloud for 5. I mean, just completely broken. Why not? So, it wouldn't be the worst. It'd be on par with Jace, except for it would win that fight. Starting loyalty of 3. Like, sure, I'll play Solemn, and the next turn have Solemn really turn into Vindicate. These are all different things. Wizards would, I would hope they would never print that Planeswalker, but I would be very happy if they did. Alright, so 1 and 2 of the cards in hand. I'm assuming creature and removal. Maybe force blue card? Or a click. Could be a click. Wasn't a click. Well, I guess I can only assume force blue card at this point, so let's be a little smart about this. I'm going to get rid of the Pride Mage. At this point, if I draw green, I'd rather have the Pride Mage. Wasteland. I'm confused. Counterspell? Ghastly Demise? I was expecting a counter of some sort, but now I'm expecting removal. We're attacking Jace. Ghastly Demise. Nope. Snapcaster Mage. Ugh. That's no fun. By the way, we would have drawn the land for the diamond. Bye. So Liliana's down to 1. Yeah. I guess I probably should have thought about Snapcaster Mage. It works. I mean, yeah, Liliana's going to die barring a removal spell, in which case if we draw a Pulse, we'd probably Pulse the Jace anyway. Um, this is where Jace becomes good. He's got a way to protect it now. Prior to this, not so good. That Wasteland earlier definitely hurt. Pitching the Mox also hurt. So there goes Liliana. This is probably the only instance where I think that you probably don't want to activate Liliana. She's going to die next turn. There's nothing I can do to stop that. I have a creature in hand. Okay. I can live with that. If we could play the knight, it would just get bounced, which would be okay. Like if he's using his turns bouncing knight, that's fine. Must have something really good in hand. Maybe he forgot to play the top. And if I were my opponent, I'd be making sure that I didn't draw a forest. That's just me. So, looking at our opponent's mana base, we know he has 2 Bayous. We know we're choking him. Yeah, what on earth could he have had that would have made that anywhere near good? Yeah, we're pretty far back here. You know, there's a point where you just need to kind of give up. Like, there are outs that we could draw, but they're very, very difficult. So, let's figure this out. We have a Thresh deck that's not running Counterbalance from what we see. They have a lot of islands. They're playing Jace and Force and Ghastly Demise. Chances are they have discard. So that means all these things we're leaving out. And it's 6 cards. Well, don't necessarily want those. And his colors, we don't have to worry about too much artifact hate, so we don't have to worry about taking Moxen or Jit or Batterskull out. In fact, Batterskull's probably going to be pretty good here. I'm going to drop the Pride Mage. We didn't see really a counterbalance or anything like of that nature, and he's a lot of 2 drops, so yeah, that'll be helpful. So we need 2 more cards. Dryad Arbor would be one of them if it wasn't part of our land count. They'll probably be pulling the forces out. I think we can go, feel free to go ahead and take that last one. I don't know why I was going to leave 1 in. Go ahead and drop the U's as well. I know that hurts, or it starts to help beat Ghastly Demise, but yeah, that's a good point. We're going to drop a Mystic. She's not very good here. She's just kind of a thing, so we'll probably end up getting the Jit still.